But go back 5 years. Mario Cristobal makes that decision. I know people were losing their minds. I was losing my mind. I'm not going to lie about it because I was calling for Mario Cristobal to be the head coach back in 2008.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be the head coach in 2008 over Randy
Mhm.
Shannon. I was a big fan. I was a big fan of his at Oregon, but you did see those clock management things that you're like, why does this happen? Um, but now you have that happen, and had they done something then, we would not be here right now. And I mean, he's completely flipped my opinion. I do think we still have game day play decisions, play making, play calling decisions, even clock management decisions like that.
Mhm.
I sometimes question. Like I thought that the way we played against uh, SMU and Louisville, like I don't think you slow down. I don't think you slow down tempo against teams that you're just so much better than, and because it makes it harder. You make one mistake and you lose. I would expect
Yeah.
that we're going to see more of a more tempo like we saw with Cam, maybe somewhere in between Cam and Carson Beck, but we'll go from 8 to like 10, 11 possessions. Is that something you think is going to happen? And how did you
I think
feel
it
back
needs
then
to.
to now? How did you feel like back then to now, like how he's kind of maybe even changed a little bit because he's still
Yeah.
mad intense and I love it. But you see personality now with Pat McAfee and these different
Mhm.
guys. You see him kind of chilling a little bit. And even last year, I don't know if you were in the press conference, well, when Shannon Dawson was going back and forth with media about the outside zones and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah, and the
that.
A
And he
gap.
says,
Yeah.
and then how he said that we were running them. We weren't running them. We were running
Yeah.
straight into the back of the line. And then a
Yeah.
week later, here comes these outside zones. Like, kind of
Yeah.
listen to the media a little bit. I don't want to say it, but he did.
Yeah, so a few things, man. So first of all, going back 5 years, Rudy. I mean, I think look, everyone, we can always question. There's always going to be questioning of game day decisions, whatever coach, and I think it was very much under the microscope at that point. My two things at that point that I kept me optimistic is one, understanding how bad shape. Like I think Canes fans knew like how bad the situation was, but they didn't really understand again the entire operation behind the scenes in terms of like the
Yep.
weight room, the nutrition program, the I call it's the infrastructure, right? And talking to a lot of times like the NFL scouts who were coming in at the time were just like, man, this thing that Manny's running, it's not. And again, Manny hadn't been a head coach, so it's not even like it's not even fully his fault. It's like he was learning that whole thing on the fly, right? And that's what we always talk about Mario. Man, he learned so much under Saban in terms of like you got to hire all these support staff, you got to hire all these quality control, you've got to have a bigger, like straight up just a bigger staff, Rudy,
Yeah.
which is what has happened, right? So I was still optimistic because I said the way that this is going to be built, this isn't the NFL. Like you can't just sign all these free agents in 1 year and draft all these guys in 1 year and it's going to flip. It was going to take a few years. Now, to answer your question about which this is one of my favorite things to talk about in terms of Mario's changing of maybe his personality a little bit. I think this is who Mario's always been, Rudy.
Mhm.
But here's the difference. Those first few years, what was he going to pound his chest about and talk about?
Nothing.
We all know
Nothing.
Mario is a guy that is he doesn't want to hype things up that don't deserve to be hyped up.
Yeah.
He speaks in very real terms. He speaks in like this is what it is. You guys saw on the field what we've done against the SEC. That's just what it is. We're 5-0, 4-0 against them, whatever. The last 2 years, like he speaks in very factual terms, and he didn't really have anything he would have been. Listen, rival fans are still gonna be upset with how he talks now. But imagine if he was doing that when we didn't have anything to back it up with. Now, I think he knows that he this stuff is very positive in terms of like getting in front of the media and all that because it helps recruiting, and no one monitors this stuff more than he does. He sees everything. So which it is I think that's probably the biggest misconception about him. Rudy is that, oh, he's a big tough guy, he's an offensive line guy, he doesn't want to change things. I disagree with that because if you go back and now look the last couple years, right? Everything year one after Guidry, people didn't want Guidry fired year one.
Mhm.
People wanted him fired mid-year, but there was not really much you were going to be able to do to change what was going on. It's not like you had a veteran underneath him that could have called the defense there that year, right? Every year he's pretty much made changes pretty quickly if it's needed to be made, right? He's switched coordinators, which I think early on you have questions about some of his hires there in terms of like, bringing in a Kevin Steele. That didn't work, right? But that sort of stuff he made some mistakes there, but the willingness to change, I think, has probably been more there than people would want to admit.